third party, it's the same adjustment. Now there's so many different POVs to keep track of. Not sure if he wants to keep fighting. I think 200 IQ needs to disengage from this position, especially with the slowdown.
Yeah, the thing is, those trees are blocking all the line of sight, so he doesn't feel like he needs to end this battle, or he doesn't need to back off of this battle. This is why he's continuing to pursue right now, as it takes it ever so deeper into the building here. Somewhat of a cobweb of builds, as the player on defense is just on the run so far. He's definitely have been taking the walls, as you can see. He took another one right here. Eventually, he's going to back him into the corner. Let's see now.
Still going for it.
It's his wall right there.
I mean, these players will duke it out. We can talk about the potential for the zone right now, right? It's Weeping Woods. There's a lot of trees in the way. We can guarantee endgame, right? That there's going to be a high ground and a low ground that can't actually see each other due to all the leaves in the way, due to all the trees. What else is there? Monster Rivers. How did they affect endgame?
Rivers are definitely treacherous, especially this time here in the woods. The currents push hard and down. If you get caught in those currents in endgame, you're probably doomed. Especially if you don't have builds to kind of platform yourself. So you know that terrain in Season 2 map has definitely been an interesting one. Here's Cozy now as we jump across the map here. The other part, one of those off-name agency locations. It's one of those spots we see Bizzle, Cease like to play. It's kind of gathering information right now. We have ourselves a pretty chill game here.
It's quiet before the storm. I was mentioning how it was going really fast, even while we were switching POVs, but barely any people have been eliminated since that time. And this is one of the advantages of being so high up in elevation. Even though you're at the edge of a zone, you get the options, the information to move to when the next one actually comes in. Although it is close to Cozy, he'll be able to pinpoint exactly what the easiest path is towards the zone and not take that much pressure if he doesn't want to. Because we've seen, though, so far that people are actually doing the reverse and going just like he is right now, through boxes, hooking straight in, a little mongrel classic to just get that Elim taken fast. Don't even need a drum gun for that one, just need to be close, personal, identify a wood box, have a heavy sniper, and then have a refresh for the rest of your game.
You already know that heavy sniper's the key to open all the doors, and into the box he went. Now he's just gonna bounce back. He's gonna pop this big pot, it's gonna put him back in the running right now. 2 floppers to go, extra loot kind of piled up right here. Now we see the server congestion finally starting to happen now. Zone 5 is going to be the one that starts to tip down players here, as they're all kind of colliding down the southern portion of the map. Good movement by Cozy. He's going to start to harden that up here. I think he's found himself a nice little home.
I mean, with the zone, though, could always be an earthquake. You'd have to relocate. Innocence here as well, looking for shots to take on anyone. We saw, unfortunately, he didn't actually end up qualifying all the way through from his heat. Correct me if I'm mistaken. But now solo, you can't blame anything but yourself. So you have to be able to perform to get to where you need to go.
Yeah, he's in a prime situation to do so as well. 8 flopper, 6 minis. Such a powerful loadout. He's got the entire northern half of the zone to himself, by the way, making it easy for him to kind of replenish mats right now. No eliminations for him, so very passive play from someone like Innocence. You think in these open kind of format, maybe he'd be turning up the gas pedal, but he's giving a lot of respect to the lobby at the moment, being that it's later in the tourney. As kind of the time goes on, the skill level scales with the points that you accumulate throughout the course of your tournament. He is playing a cheeky little peeks here at the back half, though. See now where the zone's going to pull.
There's a direct effect of exactly what Innocence is doing, right? If he lets people go right now, they might be actually easier to pick up later on because they end up getting more congested. So he might not be one of those players that goes for these box fight moments. It might be a little bit too risky for his play style. We saw how good he played with Agers towards endgame, just going beams from box to box. If he likes that traditional Fortnite, maybe keeping that lobby thick, keeping it alive is a very good thing. And we'll be seeing that shortly because Weeping Woods is one of the most, I mean, we keep referring to it, but the hardest zones to kind of traverse, especially if you're playing mid-ground, which is what he seems to be doing. Hopefully he gets hit at some point. Hopefully he can force out a launch pad or two from someone else, but he's going to be at that bottom right side. He's going to have to move over towards that half in and half out zone. This zone's about to move in 2 seconds. The action's about to start, Monster.
He's actually sitting, or now finally catching up to the rest of the players. So we'll see. Severe here does find himself in the center of the zone, though. He overcommits. A little headshot right there is going to put that player down. Bye-bye, Mike. As he loses his opportunity to accrue any more points in this game. Suddenly, Severe has got a little more kind of comfort going right now. Maybe a little confident boost there. Here's Innocent sitting up above. The late rotate is going to allow him to get over some enemy builds. Choosing to hide or still cover his top here because there are enemies across the way. Depending now who gets half in, half out is going to determine a lot. Or, excuse me, the next, I believe, is the full moving is going to still determine a lot.
Yeah, I mean, he still has a good thing in his inventory, or 2, 8 maybe, good things in his inventory to alleviate that risk of the zone actually pulling all the way through. It's floppers. He can take zone, take pads that no one else can, but lo and behold, he actually gets a better zone than the players that are all the way across from him in big brick bases. He hasn't really invested too much either. You'll notice the path that comes up is first wooden ramps into just one metal box. So he barely just connected, used the base that Sake, 200 IQ, Tars, Cope, and Luke have made to actually have him have more support. So now he'll base up a little bit more, block off a few angles, and now look for beams top below for any possibilities to rack up these elimination points, because you mentioned it, Monster, him not having many elims right now, even if he ends up getting a win, what's the max going to be? Maybe 5 or 6? He's probably going to need a little bit more than that at 173 to have a top spot, because we've seen 200 and more be exactly where everyone ends up at the top 10 after day 1.
All right, so he is playing for the high ground. It's the high ground hold at 6 zone in a solo competition. Very interesting. Someone is going to try and alpha up on him. And he's going to get into a little bit of a box scuffle here. Can he win the exchange? He already hit for 86. There's another one, and that player falls under the pressure. It was Cozy, who we saw in the eastern part of the map just a little bit ago. And now all of a sudden, Innocence catches himself a nice little refresher. He has height. Now he can definitely hold height without a problem there. And all of a sudden, this is looking like it's his game, his world, his high ground here. He's going to start putting that pressure down below. He was already connecting with players, gliding across the field here. We're jumping over Durant now. He's got a little bit of a mid-ground. A lot of players around him, obviously. He's getting kind of stacked here with 27 players up, Shio.
Yeah, and he swaps off those instant floppers for a delayed bandage cannon. I'm not sure it's going to have full ammo charges either, so it's going to be difficult for him to operate silently at least. But if he gets refreshes like this, Durant will be able to just go from point to point. Now we see the 2 different POVs. We have Innocence on height raining down with big loot, and then we have Durant just trying to survive. This is how Wailing Woods can look. It can be so many pages available for you. The calmness of being on height, separated by trees, the low ground chaos as well, of exactly just trying to survive from room to room, door to door, box to box, house to house. We'll see Durant giving up just one of his SMGs to hold minis, to have this bandage cannon move along, but his game could be ended at any moment because he's in one of the most riskiest positions in the zone.
That is true, and remember, if you are low on material, this is a dream for you because you get to recycle these buildings, so it gives more people chances to mitigate the odds that are set against you for the most part here. Durant's kind of chilling right now. He's looking for the hunt on the low ground. Can he find someone creeping out the storm zone? Doesn't look like that's going to come to fruition just yet, but hey, the zone is going to favor him a little bit right now. So we take a look at the aerial view. Innocence no longer has the clean height that he once did. So that's kind of what's unfolding up above. Here's Durant looking at the player in front of him. Someone's going to jump in his box. A little 180 is going to eat him, or meet him with the 94, as I should say there. And all of a sudden now Durant again is just back at max. He's just cruising through this mid ground, this low ground, all these old builds. Check the patient right there. Oh, that player's not trying to get him out.
Taken over. He has the cannon though. Heals up, has to move forward on a completely different plane now, far away from the zone. Trying to catch up. Hasn't really used his AR too much. It's going to be a little bit of a calm end game for Durant down below, but once again, very tense as he looks from box to box. So far, though, on height, you know that Luke was alive at one point. Innocent still fighting. Finally gets a refresh. Guilty for doing damage and holding the server hostage all the way up in height. Durant, though, finding another one, not missing. That's the 3rd, now 4th point for him, or so far in eliminations. He's going to have 4 of them in total. Bandage cannon up again, fully 100. Has a lot of heals and builds available right now, which is the perfect concoction for an end game. Will then try to move forward, and RPG taking out a lot of his protection, has to be now left behind, low ground and zone, has a little bit of time to play with, but there's an instant person dropped in, he takes him out. I think it'll be him, Innocence, and one other person. That was Luke, who was at mid ground the entire game. Now it's just Durant, one other person that we don't know about, possibly fighting for rank. Yes, he gets dropped down. Shots possibly coming in, Monster. This is a 1v1v1 in the woods.
Remember, last time we checked it with Innocence, he had 8 floppers, so you best believe he was somewhere up there. He retook height already, so we know he's on his heal game, probably playing it nice and slow up there. We'll see what's going to happen. This is the problem with Weeping Woods. You can see the vision all of a sudden now all clouded as they're fighting between the trees and the brush here. Durant's going to lose the shotgun exchange. It's Innocence who jumps down, who wants a piece of the action. And he no longer has heals. He has an RPG. Instead, he's going to get met with another shot from Pick. It just kind of makes it all work. It all just happened. It fell apart for Innocence somewhere in the mid game. But that's what happens when there's trees in the way.
I mean, Innocence so close. What a nice drive.
It was a very... he literally had that rocket reloaded. He could have turned and fired and at least gotten the splash damage there, and that might have made the difference. But still, second place from Innocence. You'll like to see that's still going to be a ton of points over to him. Now, Pick only got 2 eliminations, so not that much more points for him. I mean, the Victory Royale still at chunky 33, so he's probably happy to see that. So what do you guys think? I really enjoyed the game from Durant there. Playing that low ground game, really executing very well, navigating and kind of understanding his limits as a player and kind of what he had available to him. Shai, we'll start with you as we kind of head into some of the standings right now.
I mean, he's in second place. I wasn't sure. He talked about his limits. He was playing outside of them because he had like a blue tack, but it looked like he had a super pump available in his inventory at all times. He was hitting one shot non-stops back to back. We'll look at the rest of the leaderboard though. Sway still alive up here. The points though, a little bit more separated. Still a few ties here and there. Epy though, all the way up top. His YouTube channel is there for you guys to go watch. He's going to be 20 points above the competition, Monster.
Yeah, it definitely is a little bit of a point spread here going on for the standings in NA East. You can see things are just shaking up. If you did well today, you just got to carry it through tomorrow, and these are going to be some of the competitors you might just see make it through to next week. I am definitely interested to see if players like Sway, who are trying something a little different this week, you know, having some people, some insight, kind of help them power on through what players like Sway are going to be able to pull through for next week. Here's Azers. I see down there a name that we probably recognize. Jackie Ski right there as well. There's a couple kind of recurring NA East competitors here. There's Woes the suit.
Yeah, and don't forget.
Huge
go
player.
ahead.
Yeah, Ravis Scott as well. We've seen him in the top 20 now, dropping down to 30, but he's still up here. Divine was here the whole time too, and he's still hanging on. So one thing you can notice from East compared to most other regions, these people that started off early, usually dwindling off, are actually hanging on. Might not be there at the top spot, but we saw the contenders there, right? One name I think we missed, Illest, who was playing with Tahi earlier on. Now he's by himself, finding success. It was so hard for him. We saw the struggle sometimes on social media, but today is his day, it looks like.
And for everyone tuning in, don't forget, this is the Open Qualifier weekend. That means today and tomorrow, players are looking to move on to next week. That's the top 100 from every single region. Players from across the FNCS have already been invited, and they're just waiting. They're itching to start playing. And they're going to be met with these players that are kind of going to be moving on and joining them as well. Some new faces we're seeing, some reoccurring faces, and then next week we're going to be seeing a lot more of those familiar faces you guys are used to seeing. Now, gentlemen, we only have a few games left for NA East. It feels like the games are slowing down. Like, it feels like a lot of these players are just kind of taking a more methodical approach. Do you agree, Monster? Is that pretty like standard, do you think? Or maybe you're like, they're probably trying to rack up points, especially because they're running toward the end of their games.
I want to say almost historically, we've seen NA East region always kind of have a different pacing than a lot of the other regions. I don't know if it's just the demographic, if it's the age, or if it's just the pressure that they feel to kind of step up to kind of the other, you know, big profiles on the scene. Maybe there's a lot more weight on their shoulders or something, but historically we have seen the NA East region has been a little slow, and I'm sure Shio can kind of play into this a little bit more. He's been around the scene for a long time casting as well. This is something we see kind of often.
Yeah, I mean, people start off real fast, and we see that. I just attended to it for the leaderboards as well in terms of points. But playstyle-wise as well, like WoZ, we'll see him get a big boost up of almost 100 points. After that, it takes a lot of games to accrue a few more. It's kind of like charging a battery, right? At first, you go from 0 to 90% really fast. That last 10% takes a lot more juice, and to wrap up competition against top contenders, as like, you know, your overall skill level per game gets higher, man, it gets hard. So finding those easy boxes, those wooden ones to jump into, to do the classic, it's there once you finally have a heavy sniper, when you have more tools. But if you start facing people like Illis, Innocence, time and time again, if there's people actually controlling and fighting for height, the game is a lot more harder to get big points from.
That's right. Well, we've got a few more games to go, so gentlemen, if you want to take it back in, good luck.
All right, Shiro, looks like we are already hopped off the battle bus here. This Slurpy Swamp is going down right now. We're tuning in with Exactly here now. As you're looking at the feed on the left here, kind of pop off. Things are all going down. Oh, DP2, someone that I've seen compete over the course of time, just got taken out there in the feed. So you never really know who you're going to get in the lobby, how your games are going to go. As we're approaching the tail ends of the queue system here, these are their last opportunities to get any points right now. Someone like this guy right here, Exactly, who has 157, he's doing all right. Maybe not the best day for himself, but still on track right now. Very much on track to get somewhere near the top 100 and push through for Sunday and then make it to next week.
I find it really interesting how, like, casters, the viewers, and then the players themselves have different thoughts about what they see on screen, because I guarantee, although we can analyze the points and then see what game style these players will use, when they're in the drop and they have a player in front of them, it's that much more different, right? Like, instantly we can now see the point threshold of Krugerall, Fishy RR, and see exactly where he needs to go next. But for him, it's like, where do I loot in the agency after this? It's not the points that matter to him the most. It's how much momentum he can accrue, where he needs to go next. The viewing experience, what the player's thinking about as well, it's so different and so cool that you can have so many opportunities and storylines happening side by side.
It is true, everyone has a different motive when they step into these games. Mood, play style, just goals in general tend to affect the way you want to kind of execute out. Here's Klugerall though. It's just Clue most likely, eh? Looking for a
yeah.
opportunity here. It looks like he's gonna find Midas now, and he's gonna have control of the agency. I see someone in the water though, creeping up just outside. I wonder what kind of rotate this guy's on. He's moving pretty quickly though. He took the dock right there, Shio. This might become a problem.
I mean, Will slaps his here and he's ready to slap this man right up. I think he's going to be trying to get straight to Clue. He might not be fast enough, actually, to get into the agency before that vault gets opened. At the same time, the agency and around the agency is where you can actually find a lot of boats to help you with your rotation. So that might be the other thing that Will is trying to do. Possibly getting a faster end over to Frenzy Farm, Risky Reels, or the Orchard just north of it. If you guys are still just tuning in. Oh no, wait a minute. There's another player right here. I didn't even see him come in. It's Sway, who comes in out of nowhere, has shields now, picks up the drum gun. I'm not sure if Will's going to be even more enticed to join in now that he's heard some eliminations go down, but out of nowhere, not sure how Sway got here. He is now the forefront, the center of our attention.
What I noticed Will was doing, he was using that vehicle to hit some of the outermost harpoon spots. But wait, we got a fight going on here. It's Gotcha with a nice big shot of 47 right there. Puts him right down. And all of a sudden, Gotcha here is kind of vibing right now. He's got an elim. He's got some more territory to himself. Loot's looking pretty decent. I'm sure he could use some shields here now. But he's building up. I wonder what he's looking for. Maybe he has wind that there is a player nearby, because we can see it on the map. He's going to get beamed in return for it. That's a headshot that took off all of his shield right there. Returns one of his own, Shio.
Yeah, I mean, there's a third party involved here as well, and if this man was part of the last game too, being in Weeping Woods, especially after you finish an end game in one, it could be a little bit more traumatic as well, because you're just so used to having everything congested. You're not used to this free flow one-on-one box fights. You have to consider things you can't even see on screen right now. He's taking very smart shots, not hitting for too much damage. The third party he has to get into contact with as well might be here very shortly, trying to end this fight fast, but his piece control, not sure if it's his ping or just the fact that he's not paying attention to what wall is being pressured first. He has to kind of just find some room, get those heals up. No shields available means these full health kits, these met kits, take that much longer to pop. Getting white health up to 100 will always take longer than popping your shields. You'll be at a disadvantage positionally and with timing and with area control in your fight. Gotcha will now look to possibly disengage, find another way to move, but he's not sure where the third party is, Monster.
Yeah, that person, God Kicks, who he was fighting, I think had a pre-edited structure, by the way. When he took the wall, there was an instant door there, and it happened twice, hence why he backed up for a second there. The only reason why Gotcha was able to pop that med kit, I'm pretty sure. It seems like the fight has been reset. God Kicks up above, though, has his shield already back in action. This is not a fight that Gotcha probably wants to take, not even in the slightest here with no shield. And a pretty mediocre shotgun. We jump into another side of the map. Sad here is going to find Notice. Gives him a little notice in the box right there. It's time to get up out of here. He evicts him from this game right here. We're looking at, looks like Pleasant Park right now.
Well, I don't know about you, but all these POIs are being taken over by like spaceships of builds, basically. Gotcha finally picks up God Kicks, but they left behind a big monument as well with their own builds up to the sky. I think we're seeing that more and more. People are investing heavily into their early game before they even make it to end, and that's actually having an effect because refarming up all these materials makes you stay in your POI for longer. Now Gotcha will have to just get a little bit delayed moving up to his next spot, and there's already someone just below him who might have to run into him as well. More fights will mean less people on the server. We can already see that. I mean, Sway's picking up another, but there's now just 44 left. And Gotcha will have Willing Wits to himself, but he might not be able to see the rest of this game if people keep clashing the way they are.
It's kind of seems to be the pace here. Tundra is going to find another one. That's the second time we've seen that same little ramp edit right there. You put the ramp so that you can phase through and you can squeeze a little shot in. If you jump just in time, it'll also protect you as well. NA East putting these ramp tactics to big use right now, at least from what we've been able to highlight so far. It's the name of Fortnite game. If you're tuned in from home, thank you for tuning in. This is the first day of the Open Qualifiers. The return of FNCS broadcast has been quite an exciting day, quite a emotional day, I think, for all of us here at the in the Fortnite community, right? Finally getting together, doing some official stuff. Shia, we're only approaching the first zone, and man, I think the players are excited too because half the lobby's gone.
I mean, that's one thing though, right? A bunch of these players were not streaming. We got to see POVs we'd like never see before. We saw Woes just going and just dominating all of Sweaty Sands and the half side of the map. We saw Mage do amazing things. Like, this is what the broadcasts have an opportunity to present, and I feel like it's been very high quality, very, humble, wholesome today. It's been a good time, Monster, and it's wrapping up here in NA East, one of the most, favoritized region for a lot of players, and there's people on the up and coming as well who weren't always in the comp scene. Sway's a little bit more of a creative warrior who are showing out their own moves, their own ways. Obviously, he is on a stream right now. I believe it's Bizzles, as Sundown mentioned, getting his game coached all the way through, but he's also here on the broadcast, and we get to see what all these basically years of training lead up to. We get to follow these stories we never get to before, and I feel like that's the most beautiful thing about all this.
I'll be honest, I was watching the Sway / Bizzle kind of commentary thing going on. It really just looked like Bizzle was reacting to Sway's mechanics because Sway was on a level of his own. As we watch this Sway, let's see here. We get to kind of follow this full fight right now. There's a player in the box. He decides to go full aggro mode right in. There it is. Tries to take the wall as well. Doesn't matter. Waits for the edit, and look at how quick that fight kind of gets wrapped up. Boxo gets taken out. But that's what I mean. Like, how do you don't coach that. You just get to watch that kind of unfold.
Yeah, people have got their natural talents in every single movement or every single move they can always fall back on. Every single type of play style. With Sway, it'll always be that box fight, the PG style of wall placing, getting that quick stare in, as you mentioned before, the ramp tactics, and then getting that quick shot in. Over here, though, is where things kind of change. You can't really practice these types of rotations in mid-game in any other, place other than trying to play scrims or trying to improve your game sense every single day. Like, moving through Frenzy with a few sightlines, you'll never be able to replicate this in a 1v1 fight. It has to be through experience or somehow, for some people, for Sway right now, through coaching. And although he has one of the most powerful loadouts at a distance, at an instance of, negligence of defense from his side, If he doesn't box up, his game could be over in just a mere second.
He doesn't care about the snipe that came in before. He's going to retaliate right here as he finds his mark once again, pops another big pot. And with the speed at which he's running through, he's clapping through the lobby right now. He is managing to stay at maximum everything. Little flex on the builds right there as he is uberly confident. But we're going to jump over with Blaze now, who's fighting Curry right now. Curry's not in a prime situation, not at all. He was tagged pretty hard here, Shio. He's got to heal.
He really does, has the launch to move in. That'll be a big cost right now, too. Because that's one of two, and especially one of these end games and everything is not as tight towards the end. You want to be able to use multiple, possibly for the first moving zone. He's going to be followed here by someone playing very aggressive. That's not going to be the right decision to make. We'll have the upgrades to take over from here as well, dropping up that harpoon, getting a pump shotgun and a heavy sniper. Might have to use his next launch pad. That's one side of the zone, though. Inside the safe space, we'll see Sway making it dangerous because he has a god loadout and he's still build fighting. Reload coming in, so we know that 40 bullets have already been expended, and this player is going to be on his back heels. That replace not there yet. The prediction not fast enough to stop the vertical expansion of the opponent he's fighting, but the shot is still there to connect and follow up with. The third party trying to have a say in it, but Sway is just too efficient right now. Has the shields to pop, get all the way back to 200 effective HP. 7 eliminations. This might be the start of another 20-bomb monster.
And it was crazy. D's another competitive veteran. I thought maybe, just maybe, D's would have given Sway a little bit of a run for his money, considering that that's another familiar name. Here's Innocence running from Sway right now. He saw how quickly that battle ended. He probably saw on the Elan feed as well who that player was, and hence, look at the gap, right? You would think someone might, maybe lurk around and see if he catch a cheeky little shot, but no. He gapped out of there. He hit a 0 to 60 real quick down the block, and now he's off. He's nowhere to be seen. He's no longer a threat for Sway. It's probably better for Innocence if he did back up at this point.
I mean, we saw what Innocence did last game, right? When he pinpoints positions of players that are threats to him in the lobby, he plays around them, he waits for them to base up first, then ramps over, making a fight for them, especially at a later portion in the game, very hard to take. And if they do take it, they're always going to be on the outside of his box. So third partying will be so much more enticing and will hit them first. Right now, though, Sway is still active. He's not playing that passive game style at all. He's taking the first shot, the first chip at health at any opportunity he gets. With the heavy sniper too, what a quick cone slide replace of the wall too. That player on 40 ping is not going to be a good sight for himself, but very good for Sway as he gets another fast elimination.
See, how is that fair? How is that even fair? How fast he was able to take the wall, throw the cone, and really just control the battle here. It's been all he's doing. Now he's running outside of the zone. Great coaching here from Bizzle, having Sway directed from the wrong direction of the zone right here for 4 points. Jazzy's the person that he's targeting. Innocence is doing the same though. He's over here, and now Innocence is running again. He saw someone step into the battle. Little does he know, it's Sway. It's Sway who's continuing to push through players. I don't think he wants any part of that.
No, he wants to get as far away as possible, but with a river in the way, with so many people already based up and moving into zone, which is so close, that might be difficult. Sway now getting slightly pressured, but we know what happens if someone even just tries to shoot at him. He goes for another quick build fight immediately, trying to break off and trying to break through that possible 300-point threshold this game. Can it be done? 9 eliminations already, a full inventory of materials, ammunition, heals as well, picking up a slurpfish off of one of these eliminated bodies. He's looking for the shot, drops down, levels out. It's Sway, man.
He just build battled himself right there. You see that? He retook his own high ground twice in the same fight. There's no one else that will do this. None other than a creative warrior himself. And I mean, he's playing to his strengths. Literally setting up 1v1s is his strength. He's one of the greatest when it comes down to it. Hence why he's earned himself the respect and the titles that he has already. Who cares about how many mats he has? He's going to get this replenished right now if he can finish this up. He'll take it to height. Don't dare him. And up he goes, and it's his high ground now. His wall as well. I think he lost track for a second here.
Though. Yeah, I mean, even losing track, he finds it at the end of the day, but how much is he actually gaining the longer this fight goes? Both players have already expended all their wood, as you can see. It's already been placed. After that, almost all of Sway's brick is gone, and we know that the player that he's fighting has had to use more mats because he's repositioning first. Usually the person that chases ends up just using one stair for the other person's box. Right now, once again, that stair coming in, the quick cone slide once again, and Lost is absolutely staying true to his name as he's sent straight back to the lobby wondering exactly what happened. And there's the effect. Sway now has 63 bills in total, had so many more to start things off. He's going to have no medal from what he had before. And this end game might be slightly more difficult than he expected because, as we said before this game started, finding these eliminations as the zone closes gets harder, harder, and harder.
I was going to say, like, it matters, but it kind of doesn't matter with the amount of elims he's already picked up. He's able to kind of double back and replenish just a little bit, which that was the case there. He capped himself off a little bit, not too much, though, as he's pushing straight to the zone now. Just, you know, free rotate right here. He's cutting all the way across. Everyone's kind of focused up on their own stuff. He hears a fight going on in front of him, pops that surfish. Let's see what he's going to do here. He's going to engage into this for sure. This player's on the low ground.
Wow.
Great shot, easy connection, and it's a freebie. It's Innocence. He's making it look easy. I mean, Innocence, you can run all game long. You can't hide from Sway, though. Z finds his mark that time.
I mean, now he has an item that you should not be giving a player of this caliber with this much momentum. Sky's grappler combined with Midas's drum gun, the agency and the shark meet, and when they do, it becomes deadly, as he has one of the most easiest loadouts to chase with in the entire game. Doesn't even have to really follow this launch pad. He can just choose to go to a different fight. The heavy sniper as well, you can just escape straight in. We said it before though, the counter to this loadout is 100% a big pump shot that can just stop someone in their tracks immediately. But if he has a purple pump of his own, Sway has no weakness in fighting and he can go as aggressive as he wants to.
He didn't even have a lot of health there. He still was fearlessly chasing down that player, knowing that the momentum is in his favor right now. He's gotten so many eliminations. He's just trying to continue to double up and make quick work of what's left in the lobby. 12 elims, 10 players, 10 potential victims here. The heavy sniper doesn't even wait to reload it. Goes all the way. Can he get the last shots in the drum gun here? That was a close call. Still doesn't care. He's still going. He's living off the replenish of the siphon.
He has to get out though. And he's left in a porta potty by himself, a replay of game one that we saw, I think, all the way over in EU. And now he's going to be coming straight back, looking for a chance to survive. 5 HP, has the shields, has materials. Sway, why not build, my friend? I think he just had enough of being aggressive. Chooses to get out. Noel himself is confused, laughing out a little bit. A nice pickup for him, his first, but Sway with 13, a mechanical error at the end stopping him, but I feel like he got as much as he wanted to out of this game. He can re-queue for the next game as well with the timing of the queue that's actually open right now, because this replay is delayed by a few minutes, so there was still time for Sway to go right back in. 13 is a big boost to get, especially with that much placement. Right now, officially, though, queues are closed, so we'll wonder if he finally did end up getting into a game.
And that does make sense. He was probably looking to hunt into that next ready up, so well played to him. We're jumping in with Nobu Beefaroni here. Let's see what he's going to do. He's getting a nice little rotate. 9 players left. It's looking like a good old-fashioned arena endgame right now. Let's see how he's going to play. He's got the RPG. He's got a player up on height. Good reads here. Exercising some light builds. Keeping the backside open because he had Storm to favor there. Zone 6. I think this is the quickest ending lobby we've probably seen all day today. We're only at half in, half out. It's literally just starting to close, Shio, and there's less than 10 players up.
It's chapter 2, but we're getting thrown straight back to season 3, the first days of just the pub end games. But don't get fooled. It's still very difficult. You're going to be seeing opportunities and decisions that people are making. You're going to see weaknesses that people don't usually have because there are such lesser amounts of players left in the game. Lesser POVs means that if you're moving actively, there's actually a possibility of more eyes on you. At the same time, if you make an edit, someone watching doesn't have that much distraction. Nobu Beefaroni, being one of those people, can pinpoint an RPG straight into your box without being worried for a third party coming in from his side or right above him. Now he'll have one of the beefiest loadouts I've seen. 2 eliminations to boot. you talked about his mats. He has to manage all the way till, I'd say, a later portion of the zone to pick up as many eliminations as possible before this game ends.
Look at the familiar names. You have Tilt, Spade, right? These are players that we know are competitive veterans. Like I said before at the start of the show, the NA East region in particular is definitely one of the more notable names. Only so many invites to go out, so a lot of these pros still have to battle for their rights. They did not earn them up until this point, but Noble's looking in good shape right now for what's left of the lobby here. He's got the RPG, which is a guaranteed high ground. We know the grappler was left behind. I'm assuming someone picked it up, though, at the restaurant. See now, Spade's going to find Noel in the feed right there. 7 players up. Oh, no.
Straight into a box. Oh, my God. Express delivery. Full of beef. Or full... You know what I mean. Beef gets that big shot in, 180 damage. A mat replenish as well, looking for the beam afterwards. Absolute low ground, 3 eliminations. If he can pick up the rest, that's actually huge for him. Another little short pad into a full pad if he chooses to. He might be able to base up beside it, but with a game with at least a low player count like this one, you have to make the most out of every single box. So you have to be looking at every single fast elimination you can get. You still have an opportunity to have these personal box fights time and time again. It's more akin to a mid-game ambiance, but we'll see if Beef catches on to that, as he still has the rest of the game to go.
It is true. Looking to use this rocket here. He still has 13 missiles, 13 RPG shells to go here. He hasn't really capitalized that just yet. He's got the material too to take height if he really wanted to. Just has to look up here. Let's see if he does decide to. Is across. He's ahead of the zone right now. Here it is. Nobu's gonna finally go for height right now. You see Spade, Fishy, Till all sitting on top of one another. Gabe, the only other solo warrior, the solo player by himself. Let's see, this is where the rocket launcher is going to come into big play right now. It's going to force all the players down to themselves to fight one another, really do the hard work for Nobu here. Now he has height, Shio, top 5. We're just kind of cruising here. I heard the grappler still go off, so that's still in play. He's going to give up height now. 70 material. No more material. He cannot block anymore. He's going to lose the shotgun shot. It's Spade who takes the big shot right there. And all of a sudden, Fishy's in the zone right now, eating fish.
Suddenly we come to the wrap-up now. It looks very similar. This is the effect of a low lobby count. Usually everyone ends up surviving all the way to the very end. 4 people left, and Spade waits all the way at the back. The jack of all aces right now has cards up his sleeve, and he finds 2 at the end for the win. A total of 214 points. Spade is your winner.
Making it look easy. Making it look way too easy. Connecting at the end with all the tactical shotgun shots, sitting in the zone, eating the fish. I mean, that was he cruised his way to victory.
Man, King of Spades himself. That was a really fun game. For a moment there, it's very reminiscent of like the games that Woes had, where we just watched Sway just W key into everyone's box with that drum gun. That was insane. I mean, like, just his awareness and like ability to execute and isolate people. Like, he was just chasing down like enemies left and right with almost this reckless abandon that really worked out for him in the end. Really great game there. I mean, like, what do you guys think of Sway's performance there? Shao, I guess I'll start with you. Like, dude's a monster.
I mean, let's talk about his effects that he had on the whole server, right? Like, he had 13 or 15 eliminations himself. If he didn't queue into that lobby, that 9-man endgame would have been 20 to 25 plus, right? Due to just his effect and his presence. I mean, he got people eliminated that he probably didn't even have a chance to see because they were just trying to stray away from the carnage he was leaving behind Frenzy Farm and everywhere he was rotating from, right? So the fact that he was even in that game made that game what it was. So that was the effect he had. It was an effect on all 100 people who jumped out of the bus.
And not only that, though, he was playing to his strong suit. He was setting up the actual 1v1s, you know, aiming at the outer edges of the zone. If he saw you by yourself in a box and no one nearby, he was on a rampage. He was going for build battles, literally. So, you know, if there was ever a moment to watch someone play to their strong suit, it was Sway in that game right there, and that kind of running, really just setting up the 1v1s and taking these battles to the build limit.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Like, it excites me because it makes me think of like, okay, we're kind of getting a glimpse into the future, right? Like, once we hit next week where it's the very best of the best, the top of the top, and every single person is looking to do this. Every single person is looking to say like, all right, hey, other person that was invited, I would like to 1v1 you now. What does that look like across the entire battlefield instead of like these condensed spots like what Sway was doing, right? He's just sitting there running around and like, I think Monster, you called it out. You're like, oh, someone's going for the shot. Oh, they figured out it was Sway. They are gone. They left. They don't want this anymore. It's not for them, right?
I mean, it was Innocence. Innocence saw the feed. It lit up. I know, Shai, you wanted to kind of tack on to this. I'm going to let you take it away, but he was running.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, although people are going to want to do that, the number one thing we've seen, I think Bala touched on it with Aussie, is the drum gun, Midas's drum gun from the agency, is the thing that's letting these players get these huge performances. And how you said, Zeke, every player is going to want it, you know, later on in the weeks. There's only one available on the map, and to get it, it's going to be really hot, really contested, if you want to, you know, get there early game. So I'm not sure how things are going to look, because right now this is a completely different game that I don't think is repeatable in other processes of this format.
Yeah, I mean, I just, like, especially for a moment there, I was really, like, concerned for the lobby, because like Sway not only had the drum gun in hand, but then finds the grappler. At that point, it's like, okay, so not only is he hyper aggressive, but now he has the tools he needs to close the gap whenever he wants. And if it's like, oh, someone's gonna try and take high ground on him, we already saw him outbuild himself twice, and then it's just like, okay, well, if I want to save some amount of mats, it's like, all right, I'll just grapple up there.
I was going to say, and here's the thing, right? You put Sway into next week. Oh, some people are going to be so mad if he qualifies himself and he's playing. Like, no one wants to go against a creative warrior in a competitive format, let me tell you. From our, obviously, entertainment perspective, oh, yeah, it's all great and dandy. From the guy who's on the defending end, like, that's like, in his mind, probably the full-on version of the most grief that he can probably have happen to him, right? Someone who's just W-keying him, looking for the fight, doesn't care what the circumstances, what the zone is, how much mats you got, he's gonna use them all. That's his play style. He's just gonna have fun.
I mean, the thing to add on to that as well is that there will be people on the defensive that are less so, you know, akin to box fighting, but at the same time, he'll be facing people who love box fighting as well and set up traps like you saw in the beginning of that game, right? There's going to be a lot more big names, so it's not going to be a free lobby per se, even if you're playing perfectly with the drum gun. You'll have other people who have the aims, who have the brains as well, to bait you into these positions and then put, you know, turn the tables over and have you on the defensive. We didn't see Sway practice defense at all this game that much. I think it was more so just repositioning. So if he doesn't have that experience going into the next weeks in this format, how's that going to look?
Yeah, I mean, that's true, right? Because, like, we have to assume that heading into the next week, so, like, everyone's kind of aware of who else was invited at that point, right? And even if they're not, they know who's kind of coming through and what they should kind of expect. So I'm sure for a lot of these players, especially at this level, they're probably going to be thinking, like, okay, I have to have a plan at every instance when certain things happen, right? Like, if someone like Faceway or if someone was looking to, you know, behave like that, was to enter my box, I need to be ready to respond, right? And for a moment, we actually saw Sway got cracked, and he came down to like 90-something HP. And instead of that player like pushing that little bit of leverage, he just kind of backed up. And then Sway was like, okay, well, like, yeah, you traded me, and it was a really good shot, but if you're not gonna follow up, dude, I'm gonna take advantage, you know? But dudes, it's time for the final game of the broadcast, so please take it away for the last game.
All right, thank you, Zeke. And here we are, Shire. We get to close out the NA's East region and the FNCS broadcast day one. Kind of return here for Fortnite. Been doing such a good job so far. It's been great. It's been chill. But I'm ready to cast it tomorrow, too, and just say, you know what I mean? You know, kind of put the line down. Can Sway bring it to the table? Is he going to pull all the way through next weekend? When the stakes are higher and the players are better, that is going to be the question here. We talked about the agency, Shio. It's the drum gun. Who can claim it? Who can run through players? Who can make the big repeat performances we've seen all day today with the drum?
I mean, the first step in doing that is actually getting it. Right now, it might seem a little bit easier. It might just be like 1 or 2 people falling in, and even if they are here, they sometimes seem a little bit less skilled, a little bit inexperienced. But tomorrow, as you mentioned, Monster, it'll be absolute perfection that's required to be able to make it past this POI and then perform with the loot that it gives you. Right now, though, 6 total people are here playing things passively. Possibly a POV that we have into how things will end up going for the rest of the competition once people realize how good the loot is over here, how good this mythic item is.
I can only imagine if you fall victim to it, you want to claim it. I can't see all these players having such good points by all landing here every single game. It just doesn't make sense to me. I saw Asia's in the feed right there, catch someone. You can see some other familiar faces up top. Remember, these are your potential players for making it through to next week. Everyone who has a standout performance today is ever so closer to qualifying for the actual week 1 with the other invitees. Here's Crumbler making it look nice and easy here, taking out Shook, and he comes up with a monstrous shotgun out of that one. It's gonna be a purple pump now added to the inventory, to the assault rifle that he already has. He's chilling.
I mean, great tack versus purple pump. You don't usually win, especially when you get shot first, but Crumble, I mean, making Shook actually feel his name right there. Because that man's going to be affected straight to his core, I think, for the next few games. You have to hit that first shot, especially when you have your drop on the opponent. The fight's not done, though. We saw overhead there were 6 total players available at this POI with henchmen all the way around, too. Initial shots these players might not react the same way to, even if they do hit. Crumble will get a huge one, though, a little bit more than Shook, and then right after that, block off the POV, the escape of his opponent. Although the loot's gold there, Crumble's game now is looking absolutely solid, platinum almost, higher even, rich, because he's moving ever so closer to that vault, to the drum gun, to all the loot that's available, the shields inside as well. Question is, if someone already ran away with it? Another sneaky trap for Crumble. He has every single piece in this box, the walls as well. You can't escape. You can only disintegrate. This Crumble here is just picking up this entire agency single-handedly.
I mean, he's snatching all the jewels. He's running the jewels of the agency right now. He finds another elim. And this person now delivers another goodie. It's going to be Midas's drum gun. Big shields to go for as well. And just looking from the body cams there, I think he cleared out the rest of the agency. That's it. You see over here now, we're jumping over Abo, who's trying to claim a drop. There's a player, Shaz, who's on the river bend right now. He kind of sees what's going on. Doesn't seem like he's going to be the guy that's going to jump in. I see another arrow nearby. This is probably going to be what the conflict's going to be all about right here. A little bit of a hesitation on opening the drop. Now he's going to get rewarded with the guaranteed launch pad. Another big pot here. No great shotgun, though.
Just watch. I know Shmexi's back here. He snuck up, but the way Abo will take this fight, especially with a gray pump, he's going to be way back on the heels. He will not look for a lot of opportunities to shoot. If the fight gets longer, Shmexi, especially with that tactical shotgun, will have the upper advantage. Already playing 1 box away, Abo has the opportunity, controls all these floors and cones and looks for shots, but doesn't have them now completely. Having Shmexi in his own box, not controlling any of the walls there, his opponent, he still doesn't take a peek just because of his inventory. And I understand that great pump, it's very hard to actually fight with, but you have to show some type of confidence or you're going to lose wall after wall. I think that's the 6th consecutive piece that Shmexi's taken. That's the first block he's had, but now he's finally in there. And oh, there's the denial. The SMG is there to kind of soften him up, and it doesn't matter how much HP you have. If it's below 50, that pump will finish you off. Abo stopping Shmexi in his tracks.
Yeah, definitely didn't see that coming, especially considering how timid he was in the battle, like you said. We're going to take a little bit of a focus, a little bit of a look in here for IQ Cow. IQ has been playing quite out of his mind today. Very good games from what we've been able to kind of see. Take a look at how he's controlling the fight right now. He has this player up against the wall, forced him into the flush potty there. And that's it. That guy's out of there. Now looking to back up right now. He's probably going to continue to hunt. Yeah, look, he takes a direct look at where this player should be. And that's what happens when you know a drop spot. You know where the exits are going to take him almost perfectly there. I can tell you this much. I wouldn't have been able to guess what exact porta potty right there or at dumpster that player might have come out of. So
I mean, that's one thing we can touch on. We haven't had broadcasts in so long. I think the last time these features weren't in the game with the new chapter, there's actually a lot of things on the map, such as dumpsters, such as porta potties you can hop into, and then actually get transported to different places in the map. With Pleasant, there's about 5 or 6 different ones that connect to each other. You have to know exactly where they go, because in cases like this, as Monster mentioned, if someone does escape away, you can follow the scent and just hunt and make sure you have your elimination, especially earlier on. Find your momentum. We saw how important that was for Cow before, although now he's taking a long time to find any success here in this fight. That'll hinder the amount of elims you can have later on, because you can see the lobby count already dwindling. 58 people left alive. Can he think his way out of this one?
That is true. These are their last opportunities. Queues are closed, guys, as this is the qualifier day 1, the day 1 of the FNCS return here for solos. Official broadcast. Players only get 10 games or a certain window to kind of play through. That window of time is over, so being that we are in the last game of NA East, everything's riding on these games right here for them to get their last little bit of points before having to come back tomorrow and do it all again. Sad is going to be left with something to think about here as his night's coming to a close there. Those are probably going to lead to some real sad dreams, I'll say that.
First shook, now sad. Everyone's kind of just embracing the names they've given themselves. We can see the other half of Innocence, Agers, up on a hill as we watch this fight go down first. It's going to be Elevon looking for an elevated position in this fight. Finally gets it, but drops it to try to get into the box of his opponent. Will not actually find it through. And then these are one of the next stalemates that we'll see. Will he try to continue on this fight with 3 elims? I would say so. But trying to get forward to it is a different question. The time investment is a huge thing, Monster, and if he spends too long, we can see, I think Agers is already doubling back, looking to come straight to this fight. He needs to finish it sooner. It becomes less more of a fight and more so of a party.
Yeah, he's already on 3 elims. I mean, we know on fire. Good job to jump into the box and continue to keep the pressure on. You can see he's trying to take the wall. He does lose track for a second there. And all of a sudden now he has this other opponent still scrambling. There are shots coming in from behind though. So more pressure being added from Agers, who has the mountaintop. Now there's a player over on the other side. Couple of mountain players kind of looking to fire in shots here. Not making this a freebie at all. Austin still getting chopped.